kind of interesting how 3 sonnets, so it's essentially the same form.
Yes, it is.
There's 3
Different subjects.
Totally different
Yeah.
tones and subjects,
Yeah.
which shows you how adept he was as a sonneteer. And if you've not tried to write a sonnet, you need to fully appreciate how difficult it is. 14 lines, that's all you have. Any other comments about his many faces that you, who have been privileged to read quite a bit of his poems, would like to share with us?
I thought listening to the evangelist there in the first line, his first select someone with a goodly voice, and I was thinking godly voice.
Yeah.
And he seemed to be punning on that.
Yes, absolutely. A tremendous punster.
Barbara.
A surgeon with language, wielding that scalpel.
Well, it gets to
So definitely.
Barbara's emphasis on her.
You would think if you looked on a Texas map, this would be clearly central Texas, but the folks that live here, and even in Brownwood, which is closer to the geographic center than Cross Plains, very much have a West Texas affinity. And it's sort of strange to me that even towns in the exact geographical center of Texas, the citizenry will avidly proclaim we're West as distinguished from East, which is sort of like the Deep South. And I won't go into that too much. I don't want to offend my fellow East Texans, unless I just have to. But anyway, it's sort of clear, when you read what few Western pieces that Howard wrote about the cowhand, and that he longed for the time prior to barbed wire fences and the time of the open range. I mean, he had that free spirit about him, and he seemed to romanticize that era and even to have regretted being born just a few years too late. But Hollywood has so glamorized, the cowboy. I mean, it's that he's so pristine with his little white hanky and no soil on him or anything. You think of Roy Rogers and the Lone Ranger and all that other kind of stuff. Howard sort of brings that image of the cowboy back home to reality with his little 4-line Cowboy, which I would like to share with you. Cowboy by Robert E. Howard. Poets and novelists have sung of me, made me a bronze-faced centaur, leather grit. The real man they all have failed to see, a weary, ignorant man in an unwashed shirt. What do you think of that 4 lines? And I don't think he was denigrating the cowboy, but he was portraying the cowboy as he is in actuality, as opposed to Hollywood's take. You think of John Wayne and True Grit. That's what I thought of. Of course, this was well before his time there, but I like that little poem too. So yet another style. He even had some 2-line poems that are more like aphorisms, little witty sayings, and there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, the forms are just phenomenal. The variety of forms in this, just thumb through it, and it's amazing. I often like to experiment in different genres, like I write a few haiku, and of course when I wrote a few haiku I had to send them to Modern Haiku, and I got one published. So I thought, hey, I spent 2 weeks on haikus. Well, one Sunday afternoon I decided to write my cowboy poem. And I'm a 3rd-generation Texan, so it's Lone Star, of course. And I know you folks from out of state are tired of hearing a lot of the braggadocio associated with our fair state, but bear with me and I'll recite Lone Star. It's one of the few poems I've written in ballad form and traditional rhyme, and it's so easy to memorize, and that's sort of what Donald was hinting at, that poetry written in form lends itself comfortably to memorization. But would you like to hear Lone Star? Sure. Lone Star. The night was bright with rhinestone stars. The wind, it cut to bone. He saddled up his cutting horse to look for steers long gone. He headed north into that wind, his chin against his chest. His saddle creaked an awful song. His gelding wanted rest. Its hooves clacked hard against the rocks, its nostrils flared with steam. He clenched his fingers in his gloves. The warmth was but a dream. At last he saw them on the rise like ghosts against the sky. Their breath trailed snake-like from their heads. That wind, it burned like lye. He got them home real late that night. His cabin's windows shone. He gave his thanks, turned out the light. This Texas star, alone. Lone Star.
That's nice.
That's in deference to his cowboy. First and foremost.
Words just sang to him.
Yeah.
And he used them.
And they're almost organic. They're little creatures. They're not dead on a page.
Yeah.
They're living little boogers that'll bite you if you misuse them. They have sharp teeth.
Yeah, but they would, if he saw one, I think if he was reading the history and he saw one that he just said, oh, that's cool, what is that? He'd go find it out.
This speaks to the craft, the tools of the writer's trade.
He wrote that when he was pretty young too, didn't he? Seems to me, I remember that it was...
Oh, here it is, the passionate type. It's 3 stanzas. And addresses it as my love. So think of that, my love, the instrument of my art. My love, to you this verse I pen. Without you, I am dust. With you, I am most blessed of men. Oh Lord, a key has bust. Oh, seize our hour while we may, live while we yet are young. Oh, come, my love, let's waft away. Oh gosh, the space bar's hung. Oh, come, the city's clamor flout. Come to some grassy bank. Oh, hell, the ribbon's worn out. Oh, blank, 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 blank. But I thought that was hilarious. And those of us who work with typewriters or computers, how about your computer going on the blink when you don't have a backup of your masterpiece? You know, but can you relate to that? And isn't it funny? It's hilarious. No sense of humor, right?
Those of us that worked on manual typewriters can really relate.
Yeah.